Justin Lubino with Senior Advisors. And on today's episode of Coffee with Justin, we have one of my esteemed colleagues that we work closely with, Dan Campbell, who's a principal partner at Campbell Petrie. And we're excited to have Dan join us today. Dan, thanks for joining us.
Absolutely, buddy. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
The first set of questions we ask are just some coffee-related questions just to get this rolling. And the first one is what's your kind of preferred or go-to coffee, whether it's a brand or a particular type of coffee you like to drink?
Yeah, so ideally, I would go to Rook, which is like a local New Jersey, so like I would say Jersey Shore brand. I think they probably have like 10 locations. They don't have one in my town. And so during COVID, I actually got into this walking habit in the morning. I'd wake up in the morning and go for a little walk. I actually throw a podcast on, take a little cruise, and they put a Starbucks in my little Acme in Lincroft. So now I am the guy who walks in. I don't even have to order my coffee anymore. I got an iced coffee black.
Okay. Nice.
Lynn and Michelle that work there, they know it. It's ready when I get there in the morning. It's a routine. So
nice.
It's all good.
Nice. Good stuff. What's how many cups a day generally for you?
I mean, it really depends. It probably depends, what's going on in the day, how the kids are treating me. But I'm definitely 2 and possibly 3. And they're the large ones too. So I don't actually know what I'm consuming, but it's a lot of coffee.
All caffeine, all caffeinated.
Gotta keep it going for sure.
All right.
Working and dad mode keeps you going.
You need that caffeine. So if you could sit down and have a cup of coffee with anybody, who would you choose to sit down with?
So my 2 favorite athletes, there's 2 of them. I can't just do one. I mean, that would be too easy for you. I have to be difficult. Good. So my buddy Tiger Woods, I mean, I just absolutely admire that guy so much. And, I actually hope he's doing great, in his recovery right now. Yep. It was pretty sad what happened to him a couple of weeks ago there. I just, that guy's mental fortitude and, everything he did for his game, what he's overcome, his family life. And he's just an unbelievable story. And those documentaries that are out now are so fun to watch. And then to kind of compound on that, who also is huge into golf is my other, favorite athlete, Michael Jordan. And being down here in Florida, I'm in Florida right now. And last night we were out to dinner. We were talking a little bit about like potentially making a move to Florida. And my buddy's like, you got to join the Grove or Grove 23, which is Jordan's course. And I'm like, I need to sell a little bit more Medicare policies with Justin in order to afford it. But it would be really cool to join MJ's course down here in Florida.
That would be awesome.
It's like, my 2 favorite athletes. And, those guys would just be, their documentary tells their story, but it'd be cool just to ask them the questions like,
100%.
What was this like? What was that like? Get the behind the scenes and,
Two of the goats, right?
That's it. And I'm actually in Sarasota. I'm just south of where the actual GOAT quarterback is. So Tom Brady might be an interesting one too. Speaking of goats, he's not too far away from it.
That'd be a fun round table with the 3 of them.
We were talking about it yesterday. What does he have? 7 Super Bowls, right?
Yeah.
Is it 7 rings?
7.
It could have been 9, but thank God I'm a Giants fan. So.
Well, it could have been 10. I'm an Eagles fan.
Yeah, right. That's exactly right.
I said they should change the name of that trophy to the Tom Brady trophy instead of Vince Lombardi, right? I mean, it's at some point, who knows? Vince
Lombardi's actually buried in my hometown, in Middletown.
Oh, interesting.
It's a big thing. He went to Red Bank Catholic in Florida.
We have Whitney Houston in Westfield. That's our burial here. But all right. So you mentioned, you're clearly not in New Jersey with those palm trees back there. You're in Florida, and it sounded like you were there for a work trip. And maybe if you could just share a little bit about, Campbell Petrie and the services you guys provide, and maybe a little bit about like your differentiator in the space.
Yeah, so Campbell Petrie is a full service employee benefit brokerage. We do really anything that an employer would buy for their employees or offer to their employees on the payroll deduction side. So it's health, dental, the vision, the long and short-term disability, the life insurance, all of those products. And we work in several different markets. We work all the way down to your 2-life group, all the way up to several thousand employees. Obviously have different teams servicing the different segments, and obviously there's different products, variations of that. But what we've always, the way we grew our practice is working with financial advisors and other centers of influence, I would call them, that would, bring us leads. We became the expert in that space for that, referring body, and we take care of that stuff for their clients. So, you can't get the referral into the 1,000 life group if you don't handle their 2-life group. So we try to solve all of our referral partners' problems on the employee benefit side. So I would say what's unique about us is like the fact that we can scale. We can do the small stuff, but we also can do the larger groups. But in addition to that, we also are doing some unique things on the self-funded side for our larger groups. So we've partnered with Pareto captive managers, and we're bringing that to the New Jersey marketplace. One of the several brokers in the space that is doing that. It's really unique, giving even the 50 life group some transparency around healthcare, some visibility into where their money is going, and kind of explaining to them how we can address risk in a different way. And our clients that have embraced alternative funding have really outperformed their peers in that space. So it's been really great to watch all of our customers who kind of left off the I would say dipped their toe into self-funding, but actually just jumped into the pool completely, which is what you're doing when you're joining one of these self-funded consortiums. And they're just really outperforming their peers. So their benefits budget is 10 to 15% better than the person they're trying to hire from, and it's really fun to watch.
That's great. That's interesting. Yeah. So this kind of shift to the alternative funding models, if you look at kind of your pie chart of business, is it you see kind of 50-50 as far as fully insured versus the alternative funding, or what's the kind of the high level mix you're seeing right now with your group?
It's funny, like we work with Pareto pretty much exclusively on that self-funded side. I mean, we have some traditional groups that go directly to the stop loss carrier, but the Pareto principle is the 80-20 rule. And it's similar to our book of business. So we have the conversation with all of our clients. We want them to embrace it because it's certainly what we think is the better solution. But you also have to be, the buyer has to be, or the customer has to be engaged and wanting to make that move. This is certainly not the easiest thing to comprehend, but also to implement, and a little bit more stress on your HR department and the resources you have internally in finance. But the minute we can get people over those hurdles, they reap the rewards. So, we're probably 80-20 in our large group block on self-funded to fully insured. And, our fully insured carriers do a great job, and, they service the business well. But I think everybody's searching for a little bit something different. We all try to seek efficiencies in whatever we're doing, every sort of aspect of our business. And so we're seeing a lot of our groups starting to embrace it a little bit more. So I think time goes by, the next 3 to 5 years, you're going to see lots of innovative players come into that space, whether it's TPAs, stop loss consortiums, prescription benefit managers that are, being more glass door and being transparent about their pricing. Yep. And then, it's a big expense, right? So, it's starting to grab everybody's attention if it already hasn't. So
absolutely.
And I think it's fun to take clients down that path and really open the doors and open their eyes.
Yep. More transparency too, generally with everything. And it's
totally
interesting. So what would you say, you mentioned you work all the way down to 2 lives, all the way up to 1,000. What would you say is kind of the sweet spot for you guys as far as group size, or you feel comfortable in kind of the whole range, or where do you say
we feel comfortable in all those spaces. It's funny, like the problem for a 500 life group and a 3,000 life group is it's really the same problem. You find that the decision makers of those larger cases, cases that are above 1,000 lives, potentially have some, whether it's private equity funding or they're a publicly traded company or a publicly traded entity, they're worried about diligence and their partners, and nobody wants to get fired for hiring Campbell Petrie, who's a small broker in New Jersey. We may have the best idea, we may have the best solution, but if we mess up, it might be that human resources person's job, or that CFO's job. So We see a lot of those larger cases, going to the alphabet houses, the bigger, your Willis's, your Gallaghers, your Tower, whoever it may be, your Mercer. And again, it's a CYA for the decision makers. And again, I could easily, and people on my team could easily go and work for any of those entities, and we could be handling and servicing their account. But because they have the backing, you see those bigger cases going that way. So we'll get a better decision, or a more, I would say, fluid decision-making process out of a smaller case. I would say the sweet spot right now, what we're really targeting, is 100 to 250 lives.
Okay.
50 to 100 is a great market.
Okay.
From the broker perspective, there's plenty of compensation there. It's a profitable business. The clients are starting to engage more forward-thinking ideas. So we like that business, but that 100 to 250 where we can really, sit next to a consultant and differentiate ourselves with our ideas and the way we provide customer service is where we're winning business right now.
Great. So, we hear these stories all the time for folks, including myself in this, this industry, as far as kind of unique scenarios of how you end up in insurance. I'm curious if you'll share a little bit about your story and, how you ended up in this space.
Yeah. So when I graduated college, as I was graduating college, I started doing some interviews. I went to a couple of job fairs. I went to Iona up in New Rochelle. Go Gales. Big basketball. So I played football there. Kind of wish they still had their football program. We're missing that. We're missing homecoming up at Iona. It was always a fun time. No football game anymore. So I went to Iona. I was going to some job fairs, and several of the folks that would attend the job fairs, would invite you in for interviews. And I got down to a final interview with this company in the city, and I won't say their name, but it was my job was to be. I was a finance major. My job would have been assessing the credit risk for GM, and this was in 2001. So the auto industry was kind of going downhill. They were a big supplier to GM, and basically I would have been sitting behind a desk, basically crunching numbers. And Justin, we've had a pretty good relationship. I don't think you think I would ever get stuck behind the desk in my life. So I reached out to my Uncle Matt, who is and has had a very long career. I think my internet's crapping out here a little bit.
No,
I reached out to my Uncle Matt, who was working at Cigna Healthcare at the time, and still does today. He's a new business manager in the 50 to 250 space. And he got me an interview with his team lead over at Cigna. And, the job was to be in sales support or to be, on the desk assessing the credit risk. Those are kind of my two options. So I jumped in with the Cigna job. I thought it would be a little bit more, being out. And, actually I got partnered with a guy named Corey Pronsky. Shout out to Corey. He's one of the funniest guys I've ever met in my life. And anybody that sees this probably knows Corey, but he had an unbelievably successful career at Cigna. He managed professional group plans book there, Northeast. And, so I got to work on that team. I got to meet all the folks at PGP, and, we still work with those guys today. I made great relationships there with Steve Lauro and Kerry Fallon, just really great people. And, I got to see what they were doing. And, I was working on the carrier side, and I was processing what Cigna has is called the compensation acknowledgement forms, the CAF forms. I started to look at what these guys were making on these cases, and I was like, I think I'm on the wrong side of the business. And right around the time I was feeling a little, trapped at Cigna, Bruce Petrie gave me a call, said his partner Roger Smith was retiring from the SEBS operation, the Northwestern Mutual operation, and I interviewed with him, and I filled Roger's shoes over at Northwestern Mutual in the SEBS operation, and I've been an employee broker ever since 2007. I made the jump, so it was cool. It was a fun little run. Yeah. And then we ultimately, Bruce and I ultimately bought that business, which is great.
No, I think it was the right move for you. I think your hair, you'd have a lot less hair right now if you took that that credit risk.
Believe me, it's going no matter what, man. There's no stopping it.
Nice,
we all know that.
But no, I appreciate that background, and just maybe just to kind of wrap up here a little bit, if you could share, a little bit about kind of our working relationship with Campbell Petrie and senior advisors when you have a Medicare case that comes up in one of your groups, kind of how that works.
Yeah, and Justin, you've been a great partner to us. You really have. I mean, I think everybody on my team actually reaches out to you now as our specialist, which is great. And much like we provide that employee benefit service to our financial advisors, we see you in the same way. You're our guy for Medicare. So when the situation comes up, it's very easy. We make a quick introduction, whether it's to the financial advisor that needs help, or whether it's the client directly that needs, or the person that needs help. We make a quick introduction. You've been really great in, all those different situations, whether it's educating a group on what Medicare is. So when their folks are approaching 65, they understand their choice between, remaining on the group healthcare plan or exiting the group healthcare plan and joining a Medicare plan, as may be. But ultimately for our clients, that is a huge thing, right? You could get a 65-year-old off of the risk pool, and that's when your claims happen, right? Like we're all, we spend most of our healthcare dollars, right? In our last, I think you spend 90% of your healthcare dollars in your last year of your life or something like that, which is, awful. But when you think about it, if we can educate our clients on that, and we can remove some risk, and we're doing, as I mentioned earlier, like a lot of the self-funding. If we can get somebody who is sick and approaching that age onto a government sponsored plan where they have like no out-of-pocket cost to them, so there's no really change in what's coming out of their pocket, but the plan may save $250,000-$350,000 on some big claims, shift it to the government. I mean, it's huge. So you've had a major impact on lots of our clients just by doing that. And then, and I think also in the lives of those folks, because it's, health insurance. My wife always says that she's been married to me now, we're coming up on 10 years. She still doesn't know anything about health insurance. I talk about it all day in front of her. It's a different language. And I think you make it really easy for these, folks that are transitioning, whether it's off individual plans or group plans onto, a Medicare plan. And, I think you pride yourself, for at least what I noticed is you pride yourself on really taking care of these folks and, letting them know they're in a safe space when they make that transition. So you've done an unbelievable job for our clients. We obviously, appreciate all your hard work, and, and it's been insurance, right? Like that's totally what I wake up every morning. But obviously we all got into this, to make a little bit of money and help people, right? So I think with our partnership, we're doing that successfully, and I think you do a great job. So we appreciate everything you do.
Well, thank you, Dan. I appreciate the summary there, and obviously we appreciate being an extension and helping your groups when they need Medicare advice and Medicare support. So we're happy to do that. I want to clarify one thing for the audience on, with those larger groups, obviously we can come in and educate those employees and answer any Medicare questions. Obviously you can't, as a large group, incentivize or pressure someone.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. You can't steer anybody to Medicare, but it's, listen, if they're approaching that age, they may be retiring, they may be, who knows what they're doing in the next 5 years of their lives. So you know what? It's just an educational experience, and it's a value provided for somebody who's given lots of years of their service to the company. And
yep.
Depending on what their payroll deduction is, a lot of times it makes more sense to go into Medicare.
That's at the end of the day, right?
They have to look at the numbers.
It's their decision. They've contributed to Medicare their whole life, and if they can get better coverage for lower premiums, they can go do that. Absolutely.
And if they're sick and they have a deductible, it's like, yeah, I know I have my payroll deduction, but I have this $5,000 deductible as an individual. Like I'm going to pay that too. So there's another, whatever it is, $60 a month or $50 a month.
Yep. Absolutely. So, no, I appreciate that. And once again, we appreciate your time and thank you. I want to thank you again for taking some time here. And I
got to clarify something because I did that math way wrong. 6,000 divided by 12. That was bad.
5,000 divided. Yeah, it would be like
500 a month, not 50.
Right.
Got a zero there. Zeros are big in insurance.
Yes. Well, you're in a nice paradise background there, and I want to let you get back to the enjoy that sun for another day or two.
Yeah, shout out to Sarasota, Florida. It is beautiful here. I've never been here before, so my first little trip down here, we're meeting a nice prospect down here in Florida. You know, with our being acquired by Patriot, we've kind of built a more national footprint and seeing some customers all over the country. So it's nice to finally get back on a plane and people being a little bit more normal these days. And I think over the next couple of years with the vaccinations and people being safe, I think 2021 I think has a lot of promise compared to what we all dealt with last year. So we were just saying I don't think I saw you since Chicago in 2019. So wow. Miss you, buddy. Hopefully we can have a beer soon.
I hope so. It's great to see you even virtually. And once again, thank you for joining us. We'll put your contact info below the video for folks out there. If you're out there looking for, employee benefits, Campbell Petrie is a great firm. They do phenomenal work and we're proud to work with them as a partner. So thanks again, Dan. And hopefully we'll see you soon, buddy. Cheers.
All right, buddy. Cheers, my friend.